The 60s and 70s really reshaped sexual relations between men and women, as well as family formation. British women's rights activist Marie Stopes authored a guide to contraception called Wise Parenthood and opened the first birth control clinic in London in 1921, with the slogan being "Children by choice, not by chance." Margaret Sanger founded the American Birth Control League, known as Planned Parenthood today, with motivation from her mother having been pregnant 18 times with 11 children and dying at the age of 50 years. Sanger argued, quote, "No woman can call herself free who does not own and control her body. No woman can call herself free until she can choose consciously whether she will or will not be a mother." Very interesting argument right there. Sanger met Catherine McCormick. McCormick inherited a large fortune from her late husband which she used to fund oral contraception research to a tune of $2 million. She funded Gregory Pincus's research into developing a birth control pill. She also funded clinical trials of contraceptive pills that were conducted by Dr. John Rock, an eminent Catholic gynecologist. Pincus and Rock largely benefited from the works of chemist Dr. Carl Gerasi, who synthesized progestin called norethistérone using yam roots in Mexico City in the 1940s. The pill was invented in chemical form, but the doctor was not equipped for proper testing and manufacturing. American chemist Frank Colton synthesized northitinidrol, the progestin used in Enovid, the first oral contraceptive, at G.D. Searle & Company in Skokie, Illinois in 1952. Enovid was approved by the American Food and Drug Administration in 1957 to treat menstrual disorders, but its capacity to be used as birth control was not identified until 1959 when the pharmaceutical company Searle applied to market the drug as a contraception. The birth control clinical trials had some shortcomings that weren't exactly published due to the excitement surrounding birth control and female choice. Concerns over the safety of progestin were raised following its association with venous thromboembolism, VTE. Trial participants who noted nausea, dizziness, headaches, and blood clots as some of the side effects were discounted as unreliable historians. Despite the popularized positive effects of the pill, its history is often clouded with lack of consent, lack of full disclosure, lack of true informed choice, and lack of clinically relevant research concerning risk. Barbara Siemens' The Doctor's Case Against the Pill was the first publication to publicly call out doctors who performed clinical trials without the consent of the women and subsequently silenced the side effects. The outcry on the safety of hormonal contraception resulted in expanding female choice by introducing new dosage levels, progestins, and multiphasic pills. More and more studies have come out to report the side effects of hormonal contraception, including the positive relationship with increased breast cancer risk. Women who have used hormonal contraception are 1.2 times more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer. The risk increases from 1.09 within less than 1 year of use to 1.38 with more than 10 years of use. The risk of breast cancer still remains even after the discontinuation of contraception for women who had already used it for more than 5 years. Women using progestin-only intrauterine system also have a higher risk of breast cancer than women who have never used hormonal contraceptive. The sexual revolution of the 60s was launched with the aim of making women as sexually free as men. The pill inspired concerns surrounding sexual anarchy and female promiscuity, but the pill allowed women to exercise control over their bodies and plan their careers and families to fit each other. Books such as the Birth Control Handbook, which focused on self-determination issues surrounding contraception, and Our Bodies, Ourselves, became feminist Bibles on women's health. The 60s and the 70s witnessed a reduction in the expectation to marry, remaining married, having children, and limiting sexual activity to marriage. The invention of contraception and legalization of abortion greatly challenged the formation of unions, as well as the stability of formed unions. The availability of contraception and abortion inspired the sexual revolution, which dramatically reduced the cost of sex. Prior to the revolution, that is contraception and abortion, women prized sexual activity highly because involvement was synonymous to consenting to parenting. Since women bore the greater cost of sex by being pregnant and staying home to take care of newborns, women withheld sex and only got involved if they got commitment-related guarantees. After the invention of the pill, its increased access, and legalization of abortion, women stopped prizing sex highly because engagement did not automatically result in parenting. 43% of women had a single premarital sexual partner in the 70s, with this number being 20% in the 2010s. Other studies suggest that over half to two-thirds of women had a maximum of one premarital sexual partner in the 80s, with the number dropping to 5% in the 2010s. The number of women with 10 or more premarital sexual partners went from 2% in the 70s to 18% in the 2010s. Women's sexual freedom resulted in competition with men over who can have more sexual partners, but sexual freedom did not come with sexual responsibility for women. Men's sexual freedom has informed stereotypes surrounding male sexuality, with men being perceived as sexually active and women as passive. The sexual revolution sought to make women equal to men in terms of sexual activity by embracing women as being sexually active. However, the freedom and equality push ended with having multiple sex partners or promiscuity and did not extend towards responsibility. Men having sexual freedom has been accompanied by the nonchalant attitudes surrounding male sexual victimization. In other words, the fact that men are sexually free has informed the formation of perceptions that they enjoy every sexual encounter, whether consensual or not. Freedom for men means personal responsibility in the context of what happens to them sexually, since all that happens to them is on them. However, this has not been the same with women, even with their newly found freedom in the name of championing for equality. Women have freedom now, but without the responsibility. While a woman is as free as a man to have multiple sexual partners and express their sexuality without having to worry about pregnancies or anything related, she neither has to be responsible nor accountable for her actions, with any attempts to enforce accountability or responsibility being labeled sexist. Freedom without sole responsibility is what they call equality nowadays. Women have freedom to express their sexuality, but the sexual victimization of women is far more serious than that of men. With male sexual freedom comes male personal responsibility, as evidenced by the social presentation of male sexual victimization. Think of how society perceives male and female sexual victimization.
He was a Melbourne schoolboy. She was his PE teacher. He was 15. She was 36, old enough to be his mother. And she broke every rule in the book. For her sins, Karen Ellis was branded a pedophile, convicted and jailed. Just this month she was released. And tonight she and her victim, Ben Dunbar, tell their story. The attraction, the secret meetings, the love affair. Her crime. Put bluntly, Karen Ellis betrayed a trust. She had sex with a minor. And surprising as it may seem, after all the notoriety, all the damage this affair has caused, Karen Ellis and young Ben are back in touch. A pedophile and her victim.
That was all right. Hope I beat that.
Yeah, no pressure.
Easy in each other's company, angry and confused at what fate the law has dealt them. 2 years ago, Karen Ellis, then 36, and Ben Dunbar, only 15, became lovers. She was his teacher, he her student.
Oh, learning.
Karen is of the same age as Ben's mother, but they want us to believe this was an affair among equals.
Ben knew what he was doing. I knew what I was doing. I mean, I'm not making excuses at all. It was wrong. What I did was wrong. Look, if I could take it all back, honestly, I would. I mean, the nightmare I've lived for 2 years is I've lost my job, I've lost my marriage, I've been to prison. I remember...
You came out of prison a pedophile.
I did come out a pedophile. I mean, I don't think I am, but the law says I am.
You are a pedophile. That's a fact.
That's the law.
That is the law, and that's the truth.
Maybe it is, isn't it? What do I say to that? You know?
Explain to me why you think you're not a pedophile.
Because I don't think I pursued young boys. Ben was a one-off situation. I've taught for 15 years. Never in that time have I had any incident. I don't look at young boys as if, well, that's who, you know, I want to sleep with them.
You don't believe you're a predator?
No. I don't think...
In the way it happened, you could say I was a predator. I mean, I went after her.
But you know that that's impossible.
Well,
you can never be the predator. You know that, don't you?
Well, apparently I'm the victim, you know, that's...
But you are the victim.
By law, I'm the victim.
Not apparently, you are.
Yeah, well, by the law, yeah. Yep.
But you don't see yourself as a victim?
Definitely not, no.
Tonight, their story about a liaison which shattered two families.
Think of a situation where a male sexual predator, who go to prison for a considerable amount of time by the way, and their victim in a relationship. This can only happen when it is a female sexual predator and their victim.
He's probably waiting in there, hopefully.
It's just before 6 a.m. outside County Jail in St. Joseph, Michigan. Les and Amanda Anderson are here to pick up their 19-year-old son, Zach.
They're working on him. They said they're getting him now.
It's been 2.5 months since they've seen him.
All right, buddy. You good?
Finally, the hug they've been waiting for.
You all right? Yeah.
He was arrested last winter after having sex with a girl he met on the dating app Hot or Not. The girl told him she was 17, but she wasn't. She was just 14 years old.
If you had known that she was 14, would you have had sex with her?
I wouldn't even have gone to her house. Like, I literally wouldn't have gone to her house at all.
She has since admitted to lying about her age, but that didn't keep Zach from going to jail.
There's no criminal in our son, and the mother and the girl herself said, please don't call us a victim. My daughter's not a victim. She was willing and participated in everything that happened. She wanted it to happen.
Even though he's out, he's far from free. Today is his first day as a convicted sex offender. For the next 5 years, he will live by restrictive rules. He can't own a smartphone or use the internet and has a nightly curfew of 8 p.m. And he'll be listed on the sex offender registry for the next 25 years. The punishment, he and his parents say, doesn't fit the crime, so they're fighting for a reduced sentence.
I think it's ridiculous. I know that I'm not a sex offender.
He doesn't see himself as a victim, but if she had gotten pregnant and he had been ordered to pay child support, pretty sure he would not have a problem being a victim. If you think that a male victim of statutory rape being punished for being a victim of a sex crime by paying child support is overreaching, unfair, or plain ridiculous, and can only happen in a completely retrogressive society, then think again. America, the land of the free, punishes its male victims of statutory rape. The Kansas Supreme Court, in ruling the Hermesman v. Sayer case where a 17-year-old babysitter had a baby by a 13-year-old kid, ruled that men cannot opt out of parenting, even if the child is a product of a crime. The court argued, quote, this state's interest in requiring minor parents to support their children overrides the state's competing interest in protecting juveniles from improvident acts, even when such acts may include criminal activity on the part of the other parent. Considering the three persons directly involved, Shane, Colleen, and Melanie, the interests of Melanie are superior, as a matter of public policy, to those of either or both of her parents. This minor child, the only truly innocent party, is entitled to support from both her parents regardless of their ages, implying that a 13-year-old male victim of sexual victimization is not, quote, truly innocent. Could explain why the young guy didn't see himself as a victim after being in a relationship with his teacher. Unsurprisingly, the same state that set one of the earliest precedents in punishing male victims of statutory rape by making sure that men cannot opt out of parenting is being applauded today for safeguarding women's right to opt out of parenting.
Last night was actually a really good night for anyone who believes a woman should have a right to choose what happens in her own body. And it's all thanks to Kansas.
In conservative Kansas this morning, a political earthquake and a big win for abortion rights supporters. Kansas voters rejecting an amendment that would have removed abortion protections from the state constitution. In effect, keeping access to the procedure there.
The turnout on a 100-degree day in the middle of summer was 53%. Historically high. They've never seen anything like this. This is Barack Obama's numbers.
Our state stood up and said no. We're the first ones to say no, so I'm overjoyed.
Wow, Kansas, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Congratulations, Kansas.
And that is the state of equality in America. Equal protection under the law does not apply to the men living in the patriarchal society that is America. The sexual revolution also faded out shotgun marriages where premarital sexual activity resulting in pregnancy was resolved by marriage. The rise in divorce and decline in marriages has largely been associated with sexual permissiveness and family liberalism, both of which contribute to marital disruption. The 60s and 70s also witnessed an exponential rise in egalitarian couples. Couples where the husband holds egalitarian ideologies are at reduced risk of divorce because the man is family-oriented, while those where the woman holds egalitarian beliefs are at increased risk of divorce because she places less emphasis on family life by focusing mostly on economic activities outside the home. As such, Unions formed by traditional husbands and egalitarian wives present the greatest risk of divorce, while those with traditional wives and egalitarian husbands are the most stable.